inside the Mets clubhouse. Rich Catino, Met Insider at 10:40. Read or heard the superb workout by Stephen Curry from Davidson, who the Knicks certainly had their eyes on at the 8 spot, and they might have to move up to get him. And Alan Hahn, who's a friend of the show, covers the Knicks for Newsday. He'll pop on at 11:10 to run through the workout. I still don't want to overreact to that. I know it was an eye-opening performance on the part of Curry. I'm not sold. We'll see if Alan Hahn is as well. So, let's get a quick break. We'll come
team or whatever. That's what we've got to do, and it's gonna take a lot of work. And I don't want anyone to be fooled. There's no magic wand here. We've got to put a good product on the floor that can be competitive, and I think that's the trickier thing.
That's Donnie Hardwood. Big, tall task. That was the day he took over when he came in at the end of the season. That would be not last year, the year before, when he had a chance to watch what was happening under the eyes of the previous regime. And he's trying to reshape this and get the Knicks headed in the right direction, slowly but surely. You start with a man that people trust. That's Donnie Walsh, a guy who's connected in the NBA. People like him, and an accomplished coach, and that is certainly some progress. But now the business of getting some players. And to talk about who they might draft, a good friend of the show, Alan Hahn, who, of course, is with Newsday, covers the Knicks on the beat. Great blog, Knicks Fix. Alan, what's happening, buddy? How you been?
What's happening, BT? How are you?
I'm good. Let's start with the draft and the workouts. It's always fun as they shuttle players in and out. Now, the question's, it's not whether or not they like Stephen Curry. That's obvious. They love him. The question is, are they going to have to move up to get him, do you think?
I don't. I've been trying to figure out, as everybody is, we're all mockologists right now, and I don't know really where else he would fit, because I think really top 5 might be too much, might be too high for him compared to some of the other talent that could be available. Will a team jump up to try to get him? That's possible, but it's just too perfect of a fit. I think 8 is a good place for him, and that's why, all along it just seems like they've been on a collision course, these two teams, but I still leave an outside chance for the Knicks to try to move up, maybe to get someone else like a Rubio or a Thabit, but that's a real long shot. I really do think that two, just like Gallinari last year, are just on a collision course for 8.
Interesting. I agree with you. I think there's a chance that they try to make something happen and jump up to the 2 spot, which is where they'll have to go to get Rubio, another guard, of course, international talent, as you know, the big guy from UConn. It's interesting. I mean, if they do that, before we get back to Curry, if they do something in this draft, I mean, who's the trade bait? Would it be Wilson Chandler? Would it be Nate? How does that situation go down, Alan?
A great question. It can't be Nate Robinson. I mean, it can't be Nate Robinson or David Lee, because they're both restricted free agents, and therefore you can't trade them before the draft. You can't trade them until I believe it's July.
I think it's July 18th, but you can have an agreement in principle.
Trade. Well, yeah. You could do that too. Obviously, there are things that would be technically illegal, but you can have an agreement. Let's say you ask the Grizzlies to just select who you want to pick, and then in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whenever we're allowed to, then we can work out a deal. It's again, I mean, look, the Charlotte Hornets drafted Kobe Bryant and then later traded him. It's not like you have to make the trade for the pick, but you can work something out where maybe the team picks that player for you. Of course, that's very precarious, because things can change in a matter of a couple of weeks, and then now you're stuck with a player, or maybe the deal doesn't go through, or they work out a deal with someone else. It's very, very tricky and complicated, but of course it's an option. I just, again, if the Knicks came away from yesterday's workout quite satisfied with what they saw in Stephen Curry, and he came out of the workout feeling pretty good, and the buzz was that he had a tremendous workout. I can't see why they would start messing around with moving up, because Thabit to me is a project and an iffy kind of player. I don't know if he's a play right away kind of kid. And Rubio's got all kinds of stuff going on around him, with the buyout being $5 million, and now he's trying to get out of that. And his work, he hasn't worked out for anybody, so no one's really seen him aside from what he's done in the Eurobasket and obviously in the Olympics last summer. Mm-hmm. So it just might be for the Knicks. It's just better to stay where you are, make a solid pick, and if you feel confident that Curry will be there, just go ahead and make that move.
Kicking around some draft possibilities. Knicks with the 8th pick. Alan Hahn, Newsday's back on the show. Al, watching Redick the other night, trying to fight through screens, J.J. Redick, and struggle through a 2-for-9 game, missing open looks. I guess I'm very hesitant, and this goes back, and we're about the same age, and I know they're a little different players, but you'll feel me. Steve Alford at Indiana, certainly J.J. Redick coming out of Duke. I mean, if you're not 6'5" and 6'6", and your main calling card is that you could stroke it, you better be able to do other things. Can Stephen Curry handle, dish, and create necessary at a level to be a big-time player in the NBA?
That's a great question, and I think the comparison to J.J. Redick is a very, very good one because they're very similar coming out of college because Redick was just a lights-out shooter. I mean, how is he not a good shooter all of a sudden? I mean, even the open shots he's not knocking down on a consistent basis, which is amazing because normally a guy doesn't ever forget how to shoot, but confidence does come in. I think, though, with Curry is that he is, and he'll tell you this, he insists this. His father told me this when I talked to him. Del Curry's his father. He played 12 years in the NBA. He told me the same thing. He's a point guard. That he was a point guard in high school, and they used to have to tell him to shoot the ball because he liked to distribute. He's a very smart player. He's got a high IQ, and I think he can play in a Mike D'Antoni kind of system because it's a lot of the high screen and roll stuff, a lot of movement, a lot of quick decision things, and he doesn't have to create shots for himself, which is what a lot of the NBA has become. A lot of dribble moves and trying to ball fake and everything. Where this is spot up in the corner and a drive and kick. You know what I mean? And I think what they have, what the Knicks really want to see out of Curry, more than the fact we all know he can shoot, but what you want to see is not only does he have the ability to see the floor, but can he make a quick decision? Because I think that's the biggest difference between college and pros when it comes to guards. Is not the shooting ability, but can you make a quick and intelligent decision? Because that's really the speed of the game is so much different.
And well, then how do they gauge that in a workout?
It's very difficult. You play 3-on-3 with a defender like Drew Holiday all over him. That's how you do it. And you play with two big men and two and like Gerald Henderson and Deontay Christmas, which is what they did yesterday. And they played 3-on-3. The media doesn't get to watch, but this is what I'm, deriving from what people I've talked to, is that they played a 3-on-3, and that's just how it went down. And so you had a guy on the wing that you could pass to. You had a big man to work with on pick and roll stuff, and you get to see what he does. Because shooting drills are shooting drills. Everybody looks good in shooting drills. But or if you look bad, forget it. Yeah. But in a 3-on-3 situation where you're playing a competitive game and you have both an outside player to work with and an inside player to work with, you can start to see decision making and what a player and how he reacts. And I think having Drew Holiday go up against him is very good because you have a strong, long-armed guard who's very quick and athletic. I think it really tests Curry. And I'll tell you what, Drew Holiday came out of that workout, and he doesn't have an agent yet, but if I was his agent, I'd be all over him because he didn't sound very confident. He didn't talk about that he played well, and the best line he had was when he talked about, Curry was hitting his shots, and somebody said, so they were really falling. He looked up, he goes, when is it not?
I know, I read that. I know. Almost like he made the concession, hey, you know what, I got thoroughly outplayed, and he's a better player. Yeah, I got you. I agree.
He almost admitted that he got taken in that 3-on-3. So I came away not as much because Curry's going to talk confidently about himself, but when the guy he went up against, spoke the way he spoke, almost defeated, that tells me that kid had a really good workout.
By the way, they couldn't get Lloyd Christmas for the 3-on-3?
Nice.
Hey, I got to run for SportsCenter quickly, though. There's a report. I don't know how much I invest in this, but there's something starting to grow that, Mike Brown gets fired and Pat Riley possibly in. Have you heard this at all?
I don't know much about the Pat Riley angle. I know that's a theory, and it's a good one. It's interesting, but you'd have to definitely come away from the playoffs in that series. And if you're in Cleveland, if you're the Cavaliers, you have to do some serious thinking. Mike Brown might have been the coach of the year. I don't think he deserved it, but he did win it, and he did get out-coached by Stan Van Gundy. They do have to think hard about what they want to do with that franchise, and I think it's definitely something they have to talk about this summer.
Now, yes or no, when they assemble for a training camp, which, by the way, it's going to be in Saratoga again this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just checking. I know that they did that last year. I don't think Nate's on the team. Do you agree?
No, I agree with you.
Okay. Al, good job, bro. Good having you back on the show. I appreciate it.
You got it, PT. Anytime.
You know it. Alan Hahn, Newsday, of course. It's a great blog. He's, it's not just informative, but it's witty, too. Alan's a good guy to hang out